Welcome back to Raccoon People. So yes, we're going to discuss obviously the fact that Albert Wesker could actually still be alive, as it seems that maybe with the events of Resident Evil 9, with Zeno and everything, it possibly teases and shows that he has definitely survived. Now we're going to deep dive into this because we've still got a few things to talk about, including Umbrella Corps, the game that is canon to Resident Evil, and it was being done around the same time as Resident Evil 7. And yes, it is not a prequel, as Albert Wesker's even own voice actor confirms that he did in fact survive. So there is a lot of things to deep dive and the possibility of him returning, maybe in a DLC for after, but some of the point we're going to jump into it. But always remember to do like, subscribe with the bell notification, and follow this feature on TikTok for great content. You don't want to miss out. So yes, when it comes to Albert Wesker, definitely something very interesting. As seen Zeno recently in Resident Evil 9, it's got a lot of people saying about how much he's deadly, how we always needed a new Wesker to take over the mantle, and they did give us him, but obviously he met his end. Though he isn't exactly the Wesker, it's got a lot of people thinking about, has he survived? Is he out there? Are they trying to say he's coming back? Because we do know even in this game you can find his glasses inside a box in the Raccoon police station, kind of teasing that he might actually be back. But if we go back a few years, good couple of years back to when Umbrella Corps was released, this game was obviously about you being the agents of Umbrella, going to obviously take over bioweapons and contain them and everything, and you were being watched by certain operatives as well, who were watching your movements, telling you where to go, and revisiting certain places from classical Resident Evil games like Resident Evil 4 or whatnot. And obviously there was some really interesting things that did happen in this. Not only did we were working under the guise of Umbrella, but also there was a secret big guy, a new guy who was at the top, or maybe not new, but the big boss was at the top who was watching. Now I do want to say that this game was based and made alongside Resident Evil 7. This game was actually made alongside it and was supposed to tie into it, because unlike the other games like Welcome to Raccoon City and stuff, brilliant game by the way, this game, Umbrella Corps, is actually canon to the whole franchise. So the storyline that happens in this is the same as every other storyline, and in this we do get to hear and see some kind of subtle teases that hint towards Wesker actually surviving. And we know everyone thought he was dead for how many years, but it seems that it might not actually be the case. Now when we do go to certain mission the experiment, and we see exactly what it's saying, select your mission, you will be obviously spoken to by someone called Abraham Jackson. Now when you're spoken to him by them, he will give you information. Him and another representative will talk to you, and they'll say about how nobody wants to mess with the guy at the top, everyone's afraid of the guy. Now at this other point you will see a mission where you will get a message that will say the organization is watching, and that man seems very interested in the village. This is why he talks about it, and it's almost like he was there when everything else went down. Just who is this guy? I promised the commander I'd move on to the next trials. He made sure to let me know that he's the one responsible for these experiments. I don't think he came out of nowhere. He seemed very familiar with everything. I'd better get on his good side. Now we know the only people who were in Resident Evil 4's one was obviously Louis, Leon, Albert Wesker, Ada and stuff like that, and Jack. So we know that there was obviously a few of the main type characters who's very familiar, and he was very familiar with that whole thing, as he was behind every single one of them up until Resident Evil 5. Everything else after that was obviously newer characters, different type of characters, but him being a part of this is very something interesting, as it could have already teased that he's there. Now also his actual voice actor DC Douglas said, so if you brought Umbrella Corps, let me know how the experiment campaign goes for you, hashtag Wesker with a winky face. So right there, this is another confirmation from other places saying that yeah, he must officially have returned. It must be him teasing that yeah, Wesker did not die in number 5, because remember this game takes place after Resident Evil 5. It takes place a few years at the same amount of time as Resident Evil 7, because if you see here it goes as well, people are terrified of this man. You say apparently with good reason. The very next entry is a completely new person, Beatrice Bertrand, who comments on how the previous lead researcher has mysteriously disappeared. That there goes any chance of finding out who this man is, right? Maybe not. Well, as you can see, it's because one of them, who was actually a researcher, had a strand of his hair, whoever this person was, but as soon as they were going to test it to see who this person really was, they magically vanished as well, or they just died, disappeared, gone, finito. Now, there's one thing that definitely confirms that this is definitely Wesker's return and that he is still alive, and that this is basically him teasing that he's there. When you do complete the mission and you get like a complete perfect rank, no round lost or anything, you will see someone go, "Well, sir, and what did you think?" with the person saying that was satisfactory. And it is actually DC Douglas, who plays Wesker, who does that voice and says that, which means he is still out there, which means that when he was in Resident Evil 5, he didn't actually meet his end like many people thought. He's actually still alive, he's still out there, he is definitely still around being Wesker, which means that he could possibly have been watching. Maybe he did get that god gene that he wanted to become a god, or to become someone who's so immortal that he could not die. Even though he got his head shot in by a rocket by Chris Redfield, there's still a way that possibly proves that maybe he did survive. Maybe he is still out there. Maybe it's not the end for him, and maybe, just maybe, he is sitting there while all the events of Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 9, which are on now with Xeno, he's sitting back there actually watching everything go hand in hand. Maybe he's that much better, more bad and more evil, and more severely stronger than ever, that he doesn't need to take part in certain events to appear there like he would before. He sends out his clones, which one of them is actually Xeno. So it'd be interesting to see that maybe down the line that we could get that maybe Xeno is just one of many clones. As we can see in Resident Evil 9, there are clones that are being made, different type of ones. So maybe his perfected one that can move like him might not be as strong as him, but he's definitely very deadly, but might not be on the same level as him. But so he doesn't need to appear. It keeps the illusion that he's gone, and he is obviously the third party in that other game, Umbrella Corps, that he's trying to find stuff out. So maybe he has now left Umbrella and he has started something else up. Maybe the new place that's going to be called just Biohazard or something. Anything's very possible. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think he's definitely still out there? Do you think that all of these things tie in with this, and especially at the fact that we know now Xeno is a clone of him, but also the fact that his glasses are in the Raccoon police station, Wesker's ones? So this definitely sparks some interest to say that maybe he's still out there. And with Umbrella Corps being canon and also having his voice actor confirmed, he's back. This definitely means the future is very bright for all Wesker fans. But let me know what you guys think of this. Are you excited for his return? And do you think he's definitely going to possibly be there, maybe in a DLC or something else? But do like, subscribe. This is your boy Future Boy and Max Future. Stay frost peeps. Peace.